Very good morning, students. Today, this is Dr. Pooja Gupta, physiotherapist, head of department, School of Medical and Paramedical Sciences, ITM University, Gwalior. So, today our topic to discuss is liver. Okay. So, liver is a large solid gland situated in the right upper quadrant of the abdominal cavity. Okay. In the living subject, the liver is reddish brown in color. Okay, and soft in consistency, and it's very friable also. So it weighs about 600 grams in males and 1300 grams in females. So its location is in the right hypochondrium and epigastrium and left hypochondrium. It extends from the right hypochondrium to the left hypochondrium and the epigastrium also. Okay, so its weighs different in male and female. So in males it's about 1600 grams, and it in females it is about 1300 grams, and it is a wedge shaped structure. So it's a both endocrine gland also and the exocrine gland also. And as you can see in the picture, the various ligaments and the lobes, they have shown the ligaments and the lobes, like left lobe is a smaller lobe and the right lobe is the larger one, and there is ligaments like coronary ligament, apex, coronary ligament. Then there is a falciform ligament. It's a round ligament of liver. In inferior border it is, and the gallbladder. Okay, so this is the left lobe and the right lobe. So the liver is also called as hepar, from which we had an adjective hepatic. So this hepatic adjective is applied to many structures connected with the organ. Okay, with the liver. And the liver is the second largest gland in the body. It secretes bile and performs various other metabolic functions. Okay, now its external features. So as we all know, the liver is a wedge shaped organ. So it resembles a four-sided pyramid laid on the one side. Okay, so it is wedge shaped and it's turned towards the one side, means the right side. Okay, and it has the five surfaces. These surfaces are the interior surface, posterior surface, superior surface, inferior surface, and right surface. Okay, so it has the interior surface, interiorly present, posterior, superior, inferior, and the right surface. So out of these, inferior surface is well defined because it is demarcated interiorly by a sharp inferior border. Okay, only the inferior surface is well defined, others are the mixed surfaces. Okay, so this is so the diaphragmatic surface is the superior, anterior, right and the right surface, and some part of posterior surface. So the surface which is outside and it is connected to the diaphragm is the diaphragmatic surface. So it has it is the combination of a superior, inferior, and the superior, anterior, right surface also, and some part of posterior surface also. That is the diaphragmatic surface. Okay, and as you can see in the picture, the same it is written. Diaphragmatic surface is this is the diaphragmatic surface. So okay, so it is the superior also, anterior also, right also, and some part of the posterior also. Posterior, superior, anterior, and this right surface is a combination of all these surfaces. Okay, now the visceral surface or the posterior inferior surface. So it is H shaped arrangement two vertical bars are there. It's a left side fissures for the ligamentum teres and ligamentum venosum is there, and at the right side there is inferior vena cava groove and the gallbladder horizontal bar, that is porta hepatis, it is there. So inferior surface is basically sharp anteriorly where it separates the interior. See, this is the inferior surface, so it is basically sharp anteriorly, okay, at the anterior surface from the inferior surface. So and it is somewhat rounded laterally where it separates the right surface from the inferior surface, okay. The sharp anterior part is marked by interlobar notch. You can see here the interlobar notch. Right inferior surface is notched by the inferior lobar notch and the or the notch of ligamentum teres. That is also called as the notch of ligamentum teres, okay, and a cystic notch for the fundus of gallbladder, okay. So this is separated by the interlobar notch and the cystic notch. In the epigastrium, the inferior border extends from the left 8th costal cartilage to the right 9th costal cartilage. Okay, in the epigastrium, it is the inferior border extends from the left 8th costal cartilage to the 9th costal cartilage. Okay, so this is the inferior surface, the impression on the various organs including the stomach, duodenum, see various right colon. So these are the various impression on the inferior surface. These are the, so you can see. So this is the right triangular ligament here. This is the right triangular ligament, okay. The right lobe of liver it is, and this is the green portion is the gallbladder, the neck, body, and the fundus of gallbladder, okay. And this is the quadrant lobe, okay, this is the quadrant lobe, okay. Then there is porta hepatis, this is called as the porta hepatis, okay. And this is the ligamentum teres here, this is ligamentum teres, and so these are the various structures present in the impressions present in the inferior surface of the liver, okay. Now hepatic spaces and recesses. So what are the hepatic spaces? Subphrenic recesses like superior extensions of peritoneal cavity, okay. There's the subphrenic recesses like superior extensions of the peritoneal cavity between diaphragm and the diaphragmatic surface of liver. Subhepatic space, hepatorenal recesses or the Morrison pouch, okay. We have done with the hepatorenal recesses or Morrison pouch yesterday in the abdominal division. Then there is posterior superior extension of this extension of subhepatic space between the right visceral liver and the right kidney and suprarenal gland. So you can see here the right lateral view of the liver, lateral view, see from up to down there is lung, then there is diaphragm, okay. Then there is anterior layer of coronary ligament, so this is lungs, this is diaphragm, then anterior layer of coronary ligament, okay. Then bare area of liver, this is liver, okay. Then there is posterior layer of coronary ligament, okay. Then posterior abdominal muscles and downwards, and there is subphrenic recesses. These are the subphrenic recesses, and this is the inferior border of the liver, and the subhepatic space and hepatorenal recesses. So these are the various spaces and the recesses of diaphragmatic surfaces of the liver, that is the diaphragmatic surface shown in the purple color, and the visceral surface, this is shown in the orange color, okay. So the division of liver, now the lobes of liver. Okay, now how the lobes are divided in the liver. So anatomical lobes, left and right. So basically the liver is divided into right and left lobes by the attachment of falciform ligament. Okay, falciform ligament anteriorly and superiorly. This falciform ligament is attached anteriorly and superiorly and divides the liver into right and left lobe. Okay, then it is divided by the fissure of the ligament teres inferiorly. Inferiorly it is divided by the lower border of ligament teres hepatis. So this ligament teres divide by the fissure of the ligament teres inferiorly, it is divided by that, and by the fissure of ligamentum venosum posteriorly. Okay, the ligamentum venosum fissure divides it the posteriorly. So the right lobe is much larger than the left lobe and forms 5/6 of the liver. It contributes to all the life surfaces of the liver, represents the caudate and quadrate lobes. The caudate lobe is situated on the posterior. Okay, so these are the quadrate lobe and caudate lobe. Okay, quadrate lobe and caudate lobe. Okay, now see, the caudate lobe is situated on the posterior surface. It is bounded by the right by the groove for the inferior vena cava, on the left by the fissure of the ligamentum venosum, and inferiorly by the porta hepatis. Above it is continuous with the superior surface, and below and to the right, just behind the porta hepatis, it is connected to the right lobe of the liver by the caudate process. Okay, so below and to the left it presents a small rounded elevation called the papillary process. That is called as the papillary process. Okay, and the right lobe of the liver is much larger than the left lobe and forms the 5/6 of the liver. Matlab, the maximum portion is formed by the right lobe and 1/6 is the formed by the left lobe. So it contributes to all the 5 surfaces of the liver and presents the caudate and the quadrate lobe. So this is the division of liver. So here they have shown the functional division, how it is divided by the functional division is like first is the left one, then second ground grain one, then it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. In this manner they have divided the functional division of the subdivision of the various lobes. Now, what is the blood supply of the liver? So before going to blood supply, let's discuss the peritoneal folds related to the liver. Okay, so coronary ligament attaches to the diaphragm. Two periosteal ligaments are the parts of coronary ligament. Okay, so left triangular ligament and right triangular ligament. So attaches the there is two coronary ligament. So this is attaches the liver to the diaphragm. Two peritoneal ligaments are the parts of this coronary ligament, the left triangular ligament and the right triangular ligament. So left triangular ligament, it's between the left lobe of the liver and the diaphragm. It is present between the left lobe of the liver and the diaphragm. A right triangular ligament, it is between the right lobe of the liver and the diaphragm. Okay, so this is the peritoneal folds related to the liver. Now, what is lesser omentum? The two layers folds of peritoneum which extends from porta hepatic to lesser curvature of stomach and the superior part of the duodenum. See, here you can see. So, what is the lesser omentum? You can see here two layers folds of the peritoneum which extends from the porta hepatis extends from the porta hepatic to the lesser curvature of the stomach. Here the lesser curvature of the stomach and superior portion of the duodenum from here to here. See, from here to here. Lesser curvature porta hepatis. So this is the lesser omentum. Okay. Now, what is the hepatogastric ligament? So it extends from the porta hepatis to the lesser curvature of stomach. That is the hepatogastric ligament. Now, what is hepatoduodenal ligament? So it extends from the porta hepatis to the superior part of duodenum and contains common bile duct and proper hepatics and hepatic portal vein. That is the hepatoduodenal ligament. Okay, so this is about the liver. Okay, now the blood supply of the liver. So liver has a dual blood supply through hepatic artery, that is that accounts for 20%, and the portal vein that accounts the 80%. Okay, so it has a dual blood supply. Through the liver receives 20% of its blood supply through the hepatic artery and 80% through the portal vein. Okay, so inside the liver they divide to form interlobular vessels which run in the portal canals. And then, okay, so this hepatic artery and portal vein inside the liver, they divide to form interlobular vessels which run in the portal recesses. So, and before entering the liver, both the hepatic artery and the portal vein divides into right and left branches also. Okay, and within the liver they redivide to form segmental vessels which further divide to form interlobular vessels which run in the portal canals. Okay, so further subdivisions of the interlobular branches open into the hepatic sinusoids. Okay, so thus hepatic arterial blood mixes with the portal venous blood in the sinusoids. So this is the see further ramifications of the interlobular branches open into the hepatic sinusoids. Okay, and thus the hepatic arterial blood mixes with the portal venous blood in the sinusoids. So these are sinusoids are the these when the liver within the liver these arteries and branches they divide into segmental vessels, okay, which further divide into interlobular vessels which run in the portal canals. Further ramifications of interlobular branches open into the hepatic sinusoids. Thus the hepatic, this is those interlobular branches where they open, they are called as the hepatic sinusoids. So thus the hepatic arterial blood mixes with the portal venous blood in the sinusoids, and there are no anastomosis between the adjoining hepatic arterial territories, and hence each branch is an end artery. Okay, so each branch is an end artery in this hepatic blood flow. So you can see here the lymphatic drainage, means blood flow is the, and the lymphatic drainage is the so, and the venous drainage is by the hepatic sinusoids drain into the interlobular veins which joins to form sublobular veins. Okay, and these in turn unite to form hepatic veins which drain directly into the inferior vena cava. Now, the hepatic veins are arranged in two groups, upper and lower. The upper group consists of three large veins, right, left and middle, which emerge through the upper part of the groove for the inferior vena cava and open directly into the vena cava. The lower group consists of a variable number of small veins from the right lobe and the caudate lobe which emerge through the lower part of caval groove and open into the vena cava. Okay, so this is microscopically the tributaries of hepatic veins, that is central veins, are seen separate channels from those of the portal radicals. Now see, this is the lymphatic drainage. What is the lymphatic drainage of the liver? So the superficial lymphatics of the liver run on the surface of the organ beneath the peritoneum. Okay, and they terminate in the caval and hepatic, pericardial and celiac lymph nodes. So these are the groups of lymph nodes it's given here. So there is lymph nodes like orange in color are the left gastric lymph nodes, and the mediastinal lymph nodes are purple in color. Then the celiac lymph nodes, there it is celiac lymph nodes. These are the celiac lymph nodes. And these are the phrenic lymph nodes, left gastric lymph nodes, mediastinal lymph nodes. Then there is these are celiac lymph nodes. Then these are the hepatic lymph nodes. Okay, these are the cystic lymph nodes. Then there is phrenic lymph nodes, as above I told you, and there is lumbar lymph nodes. So these are present in the around the you can say around the this liver. So superficial lymphatics of the liver run on the surface of organ beneath the peritoneum and terminate in the cabal, hepatic, pericardial and celiac lymph nodes. Some vessels from the coronary ligament may direct join the thoracic duct. So deep lymphatics and partly in the nodes around the end of the inferior vena cava and partly into the hepatic nodes. Okay, so this is about the blood supply, the arterial supply, venous drainage and the lymphatic drainage of the liver. Now the nerve supply or the innervations, so derived from the hepatic plexus. Okay, the liver receives its nerve supply from the hepatic plexuses, which contains both sympathetic and parasympathetic or vagal fibers. So sympathetic fibers of plexus from the celiac plexuses, okay, and the parasympathetic fibers from the anterior and posterior vagal trunks. Okay, so nerves are also reach the liver through its various peritoneal ligaments. So these are the innervations of the your liver. Now a little about the histology of liver. So parenchyma is the organized plates of hepatocytes. The parenchyma is the plates of hepatocytes. Connective tissue stroma continues with the fibrous capsule of glycine and contains blood vessels, nerves, lymphatic vessels and bile ducts. Sinusoidal capillaries or sinusoids are the vascular channels between the plates of hepatocytes, and perisinodal space are the spaces of Descept, that is lies between the sinusoidal endothelium and the hepatocytes. So the liver contains thousands of hepatic lobules, which are the structural and functional unit of liver. So these hepatic lobules are the structural and the functional unit of liver. These lobule contains the hepatocytes. Okay, so next is this is the how the liver lobules look like: classic lobules, portal lobules and the liver acinus. Okay, so this is a little about the classic lobule. Roughly hexagonal, at angles portal area occupied by the portal triads. At center, terminal hepatic lobule, central vein, anastomosic system of the sinusoids. Now the portal lobules are roughly triangular. Outer margin are imaginary lines drawn between the third central vein and are closest that the portal triad. Okay, and this is the liver acinus, diamond shaped. Short axis of the acinus is the terminal branches of portal triad that lie along the border of two classical lobules. So perisinodal spaces are the spaces of Descept. So between the basal surface of hepatocytes and the endothelial surface for cells lining the sinusoids. Sinusoids contain thin discontinuous endothelium with a large fenestrine. Lymph formation takes place in this space. So exchange area of liver and also secretion other than the bile. Okay, so the cells, the stellate cells are present normally in the quiescent stage in absence of the liver pathology. So this is about the liver anatomy, and the one more important thing is what is the functions of the liver. So metabolism of carbohydrates, fats and proteins, this is the important function of the liver, particularly basically the metabolism. All the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats and proteins is the main function of liver. Then synthesis of bile and prothrombin. Prothrombin is a factor is responsible for the blood clotting. Its synthesis is the function of liver. Okay, now excretion of drugs, toxins, poisons, cholesterol, bile, pigments and heavy metals, these are the comes under the function of liver. These are the various drugs, toxins and poisons, cholesterol, bile, pigments and heavy metals. They are excreted by the liver only. Okay, and it's protective by conjugation, destruction and phagocytosis, antibody formation and excretion. So its protective function is by the conjugation, destruction, phagocytosis, antibody formation and excretion. And the last function is the storage of glycogen, iron, fat, vitamin A and D. Okay, so this is the various function of the body. First is the metabolism of the carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Second is the synthesis of bile and prothrombin. Third is the excretion of drugs, toxins, poisons, cholesterol, bile, pigments and heavy metals. Then fourth is the protective function by conjugation, destruction, phagocytosis, antibody formation and excretion. Then the last is the storage of glycogen, iron, fat, vitamin A and D. This is the functions of the liver. Now one more important thing is the clinical anatomy. Okay. As I have stated right now, the various functions like metabolic functions, synthesis and breakdown, and other functions like storage of vitamin A, D, B12 and F, excretion of waste products from the bloodstream into the bile, vascular functions like storage of blood. Okay, now synthesis function is the protein metabolism, synthesis of amino acids, carbohydrate metabolism, gluconeogenesis, glycogenolysis and glycogenesis. Then the lipid metabolism by the cholesterol synthesis, lipogenesis, production of coagulation factors like 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11 and protein C, protein S and antithrombin. Main site of the red blood cell productions of insulin like growth factor, polypeptide protein and anabolic effects, production of thrombopoietin. So this is the synthesis function. Now the breakdown, it breaks down the insulin and other hormones, it brings down the hemoglobin, it breaks down or modifies the toxic substances like methylation, sometimes results in toxication, and it converts the ammonia to urea. And other functions are the produces albumin, the major osmolar component of blood serum. Okay, it synthesizes angiotensinogen, the hormone responsible for raising the blood pressure. When activated by renin, enzyme released when the kidney senses low blood pressure. So these are the various functions of the liver. It's very important. You will study these functions in the there in the physiology also, but it's important here. See, it removes the potentially the toxic byproducts of the certain medications. So it metabolizes or breaks down the nutrients from the food to produce energy when needed. It helps your body fight infection by removing bacteria from the blood. Now it produces most of the substances that regulate blood clotting. Then it prevents shortages of nutrients by storing vitamins, minerals and sugar. And it produces most proteins needed by the body. It produces bile, a compound needed to digest fat and to absorb vitamin A, D, E and K. Now this is the basic major functions. Now the clinical anatomy about this is in the infrasternal angle, the liver is readily accessible and it's not readily accessible to examination and percussion, though it is normally not palpable due to normal tone of recti muscles and the softness of the liver. Normally in the median plane, the inferior border of the liver lies on the transpyloric plane, about a hand's breadth below the xiphisternal joint. In the woman, this border usually lies at the slightly lower level and tends to project downwards for a short distance below the right costal margin. So inflammation of the liver is referred as the hepatitis, okay, and it may be infective hepatitis or amoebic hepatitis. So the first clinical anatomy, the reference is it is not normally palpable. If it is palpable, it means there is something wrong with this liver. The inflammation of liver is called as hepatitis, whether it is infective hepatitis or amoebic hepatitis. Under certain conditions, liver tissue undergoes fibrosis and shrinks. That is called as the cirrhosis of the liver. Okay, and liver biopsy needs to be done in certain clinical conditions. Like liver biopsy needle is passed through right 8 costal space. It traverses both the pleural and the peritoneal cavities. Okay, so liver biopsy needle passed through the right intercostal space. So this is about the this is all about the what you can say, the clinical anatomy and about the liver. So thank you.